Hey, hello champions and welcome to this session. So in this session, we'll go and do a quick demo on CloudFront. Okay. So CloudFront, you might have gone through the theory, but let's take an experience of how do we do a lab on it. So I'll be quickly showing you the screen and a quick demo of it. Okay. So let's create a bucket first because we need to have some items in the buckets first. So here what we'll do is we'll quickly create a bucket, we'll put some item and we'll ensure that we make those items public in that bucket. So I'll quickly create a bucket. So this is the region of that bucket. I'll go for general purpose bucket and let's call it as CloudFront demo. Okay, please make sure you give this bucket a unique name. Okay, I'll go and select ACL enabled. Okay, and since we need to have these items public so that we can see the images and ensure that the items are published or not, so I'll remove the block all public access, which means we'll make those items public. If you keep this block checked, which means it will block the public access, which is something that we don't want. Okay, so I'll check this, I'll acknowledge and accept that. Rest all settings, you'll have to keep it the same way. Okay, and just say create a bucket. And maybe I'm not able to create because the name is not unique. So you see it gives an error, bucket with this name already exists. So let's give it number 3. Okay, so I call it CloudFront demo -3. So let's ensure that we give it a unique name. And the bucket is created. So you can see here, if I maximize this screen for you, bucket with the name CloudFront demo is created. I'll quickly go inside the bucket and I'll upload 2 objects here. Let's add files. And what I'll add is I'll add 2 images here, Shrek 1, Shrek 2. I'll say upload. So these objects are uploaded. Let's go back to the objects. Okay, I'll select this object. And remember, we have to ensure that we make this object public. So I'll make this public using ACL. So I made first object public. Okay, and I'll make the second object public as well. I'll go in actions, say make public using ACL. So now both the objects are made public. Now let me show you how do we access this from C3. Okay, so now, sorry, S3. Right now we will be accessing these objects from S3. So I quickly click this first image and I copy the URL. And if you immediately paste it in the browser, you can see this image is coming up. Now this is coming from S3 bucket. You see the bucket name s3.amazon.amazonuniverse.com. Now this is coming from S3. Now we don't want to have it from S3. We want to have it from CloudFront. So what we do is we go into service called CloudFront. Okay, so just search for CloudFront in the services, Amazon services. And I'll right click this, open a new tab. So you can see this is how the CloudFront console looks like. You are on a CloudFront dashboard. And CloudFront, as you can see, is a global service, which means just like EC2 and other services which are region specific, CloudFront is global. So you can see here global and all regions are grayed out, which means no matter how many distributions you create here, you'll be able to see that all in a single window. So there is no distribution right now. That's why console is that way. This way, I click on create a CloudFront distribution, and here I need to select an origin. Remember, origin is we can say path where all the original pages are kept. So here, since I've created S3 bucket, if you click on that, the bucket name would already be there. Okay, now these are all 3 buckets, but I want to use this bucket, CloudFront demo -S3. So I'll select this as my domain because this has got all my files that I want to publish. Origin path, if at all you have folder inside folder which you want to publish, you can give it an origin path, which means you can put your bucket name, that is CloudFront demo 3. And if you have bucket inside this bucket, you can put that as well. I'm not going to put that to keep things simple. Okay, I've put my image files into CloudFront -demo -S3. So no origin path. Name of the origin. So here Amazon has created default name of the origin. I'm going to keep it the same. Origin access, of course, I want to make it public. Okay. All the items I would keep it as public. Okay. Sorry, all the remaining items I'll keep it at default, but I'll show you few things, few important things. For example, if you scroll down, web application firewall, we definitely do not want to use any firewall. Ideally, you can use this as a front end. So before your the user request hits your cloud front, it will hit firewall if you enable this, just to ensure that we prevent this from hackers, right? Here, to keep it simple, I'll say do not enable security protections. Okay, and SSL certificate, if you want to, if you have any, you can use those. I don't want to use those any. There's one more setting which I want to show you, which is, let me, yeah. So restrict viewer access. Now here we are saying no, so we are keeping it default, but let me explain you what is this. So let's assume, so here you can restrict viewer access, which means only people who have CloudFront signed URLs would be able to access. Now what does this mean? Let's talk about the media streaming platform like Netflix. So Netflix might want to show up this, or only users who are registered on Netflix. Netflix want only those paid customers to see these pages, right? So if at all you think only your paid customer on those, only the subscribed customers should be able to see that page, you can say yes. It means it would be restricted to all of the non-paid users. For the paid users, you can put the required groups. Here, I'll keep it simple. So I don't want to restrict it to any viewer. I'll have to open it for everyone. So I'll go with the default settings. So I'll say create distribution. So we went with default settings and we said create distribution. Now creating distribution might take another few minutes. But let me show you the console. How does it look? So right now you can see this is deploying. Okay, so this is getting deployed. And if I again go back into the distribution console, so this is the name of my distribution. I'll go one step back. I'll click on distributions just to see how many distributions I have. So you can see this is the first distribution that I've created. Okay, this is the origin. The status is enabled, but last modified, the state, like, last modified, it says deploying. So I'll have to wait for it to, put into current state. Okay, so let's wait for a few minutes so that this distribution is available for check. And meanwhile, what we can do is sometimes the objects are still accessible. So now let's access these objects, the images from CloudFront. Let me give a check and try to see if this cloud distribution is available right now. So what I'll do is I'll quickly click on this distribution. Okay. And let's take this URL. So this distribution is the URL. Okay. Okay. So here you see we access this shrek-1.jpg. So if I go back to my S3 bucket, you can see I have two images, Shrek, everything in small. So Shrek-1.jpg, Shrek-2.jpg. Now here in this case, we access it from S3. Now let's see if we can access it using CloudFront or not. So I'll CloudFront URL, which I copied a while back. I'll say slash Shrek-1.jpg. Okay. I'll copy this URL and I'll say enter. So you can see the image has come up. Okay, I'll show you once again. So what I did is I copied this entire URL. Okay, you can click on this square sign and the URL would get copied. And you have to append after slash sign, just put the name of the image file. For me, there are two images file, Shrek-1, Shrek-2. Right now, I was able to access Shrek-1. Now, the point to note here is this image is coming from my CloudFront, not from S3. See the URL, this is CloudFront URL. And this is S3 URL. You see the difference? Now let's try to access another image. Okay. So instead of Shrek-1, I say Shrek-2. Okay. You can see the image, the second image has come up. Okay. And here also what I'll try is here, this image is coming from S3. Let's try the Shrek-2 image. So if you press Shrek-2, you see this is the second image. Now, but the difference is this is coming from S3. This is coming from my CloudFront. So that is what I wanted to quickly show you. Let's go back to the CloudFront distribution once again. Okay, I'll go back to the distribution. Okay, so guys, the last modified is still showing deploying. So until it shows up deployed, let's wait for some time. But actually, we are still able to access from the distribution. This is what I wanted to quickly show you. Let me show you a few more things. So once you go into this distribution, there is this option called invalidations. Okay, if you click on invalidations, you say create invalidate. Now here, something that I want you to understand is, let's say, so there are all these objects will be, distributed by your CDN, cloud distribution network, which means it would be distributed by edge locations. And just because it is distributed by edge location, it would be cached at edge location, correct? Now, if at all you don't want the some images or some components to be cached at edge location, you can type the, let's say if I type start.jpg, which means all the files inside this folder with any name but JPEG format would not be stored by edge locations, which means those would be delivered directly from the origin, okay, from the cloud front or the origin, but not from the edge locations. Which means if at all you want to, you don't want cloud edge location to store these images, you can do that. You can invalidate. But if you don't do this, which means these images, all these images which are shared by CloudFront would be cached at edge location and would be served from edge location. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because you might get an exam question where question is asked saying that, if there is an error page that you have been getting on edge location or maybe from CDN, then how to solve that problem? So if there is an error in the page and you have uploaded a new page, it will take time to reflect those changes on which location. So what you do is you might want to invalidate those URL so that the pages are not being served from edge locations. So you can type the complete path of, you can have folder inside folder, so you can type the complete path of those images, or here, since I have the JPEG images into the same folder, you can type start.jpg and those would not be saved at edge location. So this is invalidation. Let's again go back to distribution to check if the thing is up or not. The distribution is up or not. So I'll quickly go back to distributions once again. Now this might take some time to show you. You can see now last modified, it is the deploying tag is gone. It is showing you this is deployed. The status is enabled. If the status is enabled, we are good. Now, like always, something that we do is we create resources and also we delete resources. So let's understand how to delete this resource. So first thing is, this is, you can see this cloud distribution is available. Let's delete this distribution. So the way to delete this distribution is you have to disable this first. So I click on disable. And I say disable. So you cannot delete it directly. You will have to disable this first. And even right now, you see this is disabled. If I check mark this, you see an option of enable. You can enable this again, but you don't see delete because the last modified here, you can see it's still deploying. So we'll have to wait. You see some status here, and then the delete option would be available to you. But something that I wanted to show you is since the cloud distribution is disabled, so maybe if I refresh this page, let's try to refresh this page. You see right now it's showing error, which means this CloudFront distribution is disabled. So I don't get to see this image. So if I refresh both these images, these are gone. Whereas this image, which is coming from the S3 folder, and S3 folder or S3 bucket name is CloudFront demo S3, -3 and S3. So you see, this is still working. Okay. So that is something that I wanted to quickly show you. Let's check if the distribution is disabled. Okay, distribution is still not disabled. We'll have to wait for a few more moments. So I'll pause this video until we see some status here instead of being deploying, and then we will delete this. So I'll see you in next few moments. I'll pause this video. Okay, guys, so you can see right now this distribution is disabled and this is updated. The deploying state is gone. So if I now check this, you can see the delete option is enabled. So now I can say delete and I permanently delete it. And it took me 5 minutes for that option to show up. And this is how we have deleted the distribution. So I hope you enjoyed this in this session. That is what we had to share. I look forward to see you in another session. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.